Welcome back. In today's video, we are going to talk about one of the tools that everyone should know and should use. That is the Resource Explorer. So stick with me and we are going to have a look. Okay, so here in the documentation is how to use the Resource Explorer to view hardware information in Configuration Manager. It shows you how to use the Resource Explorer, how to open, but this is focused on the hardware information. But Resource Explorer gives you a lot more. But before we actually see exactly what the Resource Explorer provides you, we need to understand where this data is coming from. So as soon as we install Configuration Manager Client, the Configuration Manager Client starts sending us some data. So there are data we can see here on the screen, on the assets and compliance, devices. As soon as we select the device, there are a lot of information here that we can actually see. For example, we know the computer name. We know the Active Directory site. So all this information the client is sending. We also have lots more information that we can right-click here on the column and add some extra column to be seen. So there are a lot of information like we saw on the Configuration Manager console video. If you haven't watched that one, I will link on the description below, and it also should appear here on the YouTube cards as well. So there are a lot of information. There are two ways we can see this information. So the first way is through SQL. So then we can actually go to the SQL, but you need to know Configuration Manager a lot more. And the second one is a visual through Resource Explorer. So all the data, or most of the data that Configuration Manager client is sending to the server, we can see those there. And why the Resource Explorer is good? Because you can see all the data that you can actually use within Configuration Manager. Later on, we are going to talk about grouping or collections. We can actually use those data to group computers and even to have proactive or reactive actions to be taken on a device. And how we see this data? So through the device, we select the device, right-click, Start Resource Explorer, or we can also have here in the ribbon, Start Resource Explorer. And we have this split in 4 areas: hardware and hardware history. So every time the hardware information is being sent, if there is a change from the last one, it doesn't send the whole thing, it just sends what we call delta. So all the delta changes. But also send you software information. It's not the list of other removable programs, is the details of files. And if you request for a computer that has a kind of trouble to send a diagnostic data, it will send you the logs, and the logs will be here on this location. So what I'm going to focus today is the hardware and hardware history. So on the hardware, as soon as I click here, you can see all the information that has already been collected from that machine that I installed the client. I didn't do anything else. So for example, I have already here memory. I can see here how much memory that machine have. I have local disk. I know that I have C and D drives, and how much disk space I have, how much free disk space I have. I already have information about the applications that have been installed, either 32 or 64 bits, and many, many more information here. Even BitLocker here is already here. And you can actually see, as soon as you click on the event, there are maybe more information that is just appearing here on the top. For example, let me go to the device information. You can see here I have to scroll down to the right or to the left. But if I just double click, that information now is showing me here in a list view. Also, if I go just here to the hardware, I can actually start filtering this. For example, if I want browser, I can just start typing browser, and you can see here anything that has the browser on the name, and I can just double click. It tells me that I have the Microsoft Edge. If I go to the services, for example, you can see here the list of services, and this data is already being collected. I haven't done anything to Configuration Manager to not collect this data. And again, if I double click, I can see everything that Configuration Manager collected. And again, I can actually filter by the attributes. So for example, I want to see name. And now it shows me or filtering anything that has the name on the attribute. So it's quite a powerful one. And this is the data in the hardware. It's actually the data that is on the from the last inventory. If I want to see historical data, I go to the hardware history. And here you can see everything that has changed since the last one. And of course, I see the dates. So on the 10th, I have this inventory for client events. Let's go for something different. For example, logical disk. So logical disk, I have this information being sent at 10:48. The information has changed at 148, 154, it has changed. And you can see here in bold is the free space has changed from the last one. If I double click, actually tells me here also what was the previous value and what is the new value. And also it shows me what's the current. So we can actually have a visual what has changed. Of course, on the free space, it doesn't give me a lot of information what has changed because free space changes all the time. But now imagine that you have a logical a disk that has a specific serial number that has changed. So this actually shows me the hardware has changed. And if we talk about software, similar thing will be here on the software. It will show me all the details. I haven't actually looked at the software inventory. I will look at this in a later video. But the hardware inventory actually provides you a lot of information that you need for your day-to-day. Okay, now that we know how to use the Resource Explorer, go ahead and start using it. See how much data Configuration Manager provides you and learn how you can use those data on your behalf. So how we can actually use the data Configuration Manager is giving to you to proactively do some things, to create collections and so on. That things we are going to see at a later video. If you like this content, just smash the like button. If there is any questions, any comments, just leave in the comment section below. And I hope to see you in the next video.